Today we're going to do a little bit of a range test because we just got this Ford F-150 Lightning, and today we actually have to go from Los Angeles down to Irvine and back. So we're going to see how much range this Ford F-150 Lightning Flash actually gets there going back and forth. So we just got on the road right now, and let me show you the state of charge we actually are at. And what's really cool with this is this truck has Blue Cruise as well. I didn't realize it comes standard potentially, but this is the Ford F-150 Flash, which from what I've read and heard, this is like the most technology value package truck. And so right now we left with about 94% of the state of charge, and it says we've got at the top right there 276 miles of range. It already kicked on hands-free Blue Cruise, and so it's driving away. But you can see, like, keep hand on the steering wheel because I guess maybe it's detecting something. But we're going to be documenting this halfway through, and then also we're going to be driving all the way down to Irvine from Los Angeles, which is about 40 miles one way, and then on the way back, of course, another 40 miles. But probably in the way back, it's going to be full of traffic. And in terms of the settings, we have it on normal. I guess there isn't an eco mode here, but there's normal, sport, tow haul, and off-road. One thing I've noticed already is that this Blue Cruise is actually way more aggressive in terms of making sure you're watching the road, a lot more than the Tesla one. I can see when I look at like the navigation and the screen, it starts to yell at me pretty quickly because I'm trying to figure out the efficiency of this, but very interesting. But one quick note right there on that. And you'll probably hear me say this a lot, but this truck is actually pretty darn comfortable. I also ride a lot higher as well than I want to say the Cybertruck. And the suspension is pretty nice, actually. I don't really feel as much, and I feel like it's more comfortable than the Cybertruck, actually. So I found this cool energy graph. It kind of shows you where you're using your energy. Of course, like right now, 86% of it is being used for driving. And it also shows you how many miles you can use per kilowatt. And so right now we're doing pretty efficient because I want to imagine that number you want higher per actual use of energy or kilowatt. And so we're getting about 2.9 per kilowatt, which I don't know what the battery size of this is. I guess I should have done that research a little bit, but I would imagine this is like a 100 kilowatt type of battery. So we're almost getting to our destination, and we've been driving for about 45 minutes, and Blue Cruise has been driving about 50% of the time. I've got some of my thoughts on Blue Cruise. It's pretty interesting. It kicks on automatically. There's no button I can throw on, and maybe that's a setting, of course. And then it's very, very particular. It definitely alerts you when you're not looking and things like that. And looking at the range here, I was starting to get pretty impressed. I was like, oh wow, like we're only using what? We've driven 40 miles now, and we've been driving for almost an hour, 50 minutes. It says 2.4 miles per kilowatt. And our state of charge is now down to about, actually it doesn't even tell me anymore because of a certain screen. And our state of charge is now down to 83%. We left with about 94%. And so for a second, I was thinking like, oh wow, this is pretty sick. To go 40 miles and use what, 10 to 11% of the battery? That's pretty nice. Because I thought that maybe this Ford F-150 Lightning had like a 100 kilowatt battery. But then I Googled it, and actually this one is the extended range of the Flash trim. And so this one actually has a 131 kilowatt battery. And so that's a little bit bigger than the Cybertruck. Cybertruck has a 123 kilowatt battery, but all in all, pretty good so far. I mean, as a quick recap midway, because we still are going to be driving up to Los Angeles, we've gone 40 miles one way and used about 11% of the battery. So quick stop here, and then we'll be heading back up to Los Angeles. So now we are leaving Irvine, heading back up to Los Angeles, and that is going to be another 40 miles up. So let's go ahead and see where we're at right now. We were down in Irvine for about a couple hours, and we're leaving with about an 83 to 82% state of charge. And we've got at least another 40 miles to go back up. So let's see how this truck does on the way up. It's we're probably going to run into some traffic, I would imagine, which that's going to help the electric battery for sure in terms of bumper to bumper traffic. So let's go ahead and get on it, and let me show you exactly where we're at. So here's the current stats. We've been driving for about 4 minutes out of the parking lot. 2 miles have been driven so far. We're at about an 82% state of charge, which by their calculations is 241 miles of range. So if it's going to be accurate, we should arrive with around 200 miles of range, but I'm more curious on what state of charge we'll actually arrive at. But to recap this whole day so far, we left Los Angeles, headed down to Irvine, leaving with 94%. We used about 11% on the way down, and hopefully we'll use about the same on the way back. But this should give you a real world example on how driving a Ford F-150 Lightning is and how much range it actually takes on an actual daily commute. While I will say that this is a more comfortable ride because it rides a lot higher, it's a little bit more bouncier as well, as what I've noticed. And I guess that does give a credit to the Tesla Cybertruck, because the Cybertruck is a little bit lower than this one, or a lot lower, and that probably rides to like a little bit of the ride quality, but I would say this truck, the Ford F-150 Lightning, rides a little bit better than the Cybertruck.
One eternity later.
Full day worth of driving. I think we've been driving for 2 hours today, actually, and definitely around 100 miles total, maybe like 90 to like 100 miles. But in terms of the battery state of charge right now, we are at 70%. So we went from 94% starting the day to down to 70%. Use about 24% of the battery percentage points throughout this whole day of driving all day. And so this gives you a real world example. Like if you had this truck, if you charged it to 100% and driving 100 miles, how much of the battery would you actually use? And that's basically 24%. So if you were to do the rough math there, actually, that means if you do this 4 times, this could have close to like 400 miles of range in real world. I mean, typically the drive today there was some traffic, so a little bit of a stop and go, but at the same time we did get up to like 60 to 70 miles an hour as well. But really impressed, I would say, so far of this car, this truck, and this real usage of this vehicle when you're driving it on a daily basis, and it's actually pretty comfortable as well. But let me know what your thoughts on it. This was a quick real world experience on driving this truck for a daily commute.